Hello guys, Davinator right here, and I just wanted to bring you guys another gameplay review today. Now this is continuing my horror film review spree, and the movie that I wanted to review today is another YouTube-made low-budget horror film by Enter Viral, and I gotta say, this is one of their weaker attempts. It's not as good as The Rake, and I'm not just saying it's not as good as The Rake or I'm not just saying that's a bad movie because compared to The Rake, it's just not as good as The Rake. No, there are other reasons, but I'll get into that. So, basically, the plot of this movie, or it's only 42 minutes long, so it's slightly shorter than the Rake, and, well, it's about, basically these two friends. They start to realize that one of them is, their house is getting broken into every night through their garage, and they're getting stuff stolen out of their refrigerator. And so basically the friend calls up his other friend to help him figure it out, and they start recording things, trying to find out what's going on. And, you get a YouTube horror film. And for the first 30 or so minutes of this movie, I was on board. I was thinking, like, wow, this is pretty good. But then the last 10 minutes is where it really starts to fall apart. Now, you see, this film is just paced pretty badly. Now, the thing is, the movie is only 42 minutes long, but it's paced like a 90-minute movie. Now let me explain. What I mean by that is, the movie is paced like it's supposed to be a 90-minute movie, but it just cuts off and ends 42 minutes through, so you only have like 1.5 acts of a movie, and then all of a sudden it just ends. It feels like I was in a theater watching a 90-minute movie, and then halfway through the movie the projector broke and I had to just leave the theater and go and get my money back. That's kind of how it felt watching Grey Alien, and I mean, granted, for the first 30 or so minutes of this movie, I was on board. The acting was good, the dialogue was decent, it was interesting, I mean, technically, there's some cliche elements about it, but, the fact that they did it with zero budget, and, not just that, because, most found footage movies are made with low budget, but especially YouTube found footage films, but not just that. Overall, I like the atmosphere that they create. uh, it was kind of creepy, although it was lighter hearted than The Rake. The Rake is just straight up creepy. It's an intense movie, and, well, I mean, if you want to know more about what I thought of The Rake, just watch my 2.5 minute gameplay review of The Rake. But, anyways, basically, yeah, I thought that this movie was good for the first 30 minutes, and just the last 10 minutes, without spoiling things a whole lot, basically it turns into a really cliched, run and hide and seek, found footage horror movie, and also it was just kind of unoriginal, and yeah, it just feels like a 90-minute movie that gets cut off 45 minutes too short. And really, I think they should have made this, or I think either they should have compressed all 3 acts of the movie down to the 42 minutes instead of extending out the first act of the movie to be so long and actually take up the first 30 minutes of a movie that's only 42 minutes long. And it just feels like this movie has no serious ending. I mean, yeah, it ends, of course, but there's not really much of a climax to the movie. I mean, like, technically there is. I mean, there's a big, like, end scene to where, stuff is hitting the fan, like, oh my gosh, it's getting creepy. But beyond the fact that it's not scary because there hasn't been enough character development, because you haven't really had a 30 to 40 minute second act of the movie for it to be entertaining, because the movie's only 42 minutes long, and it felt pretty much like Fantastic Four. Now, if you watch my video on Fantastic Four, it wasn't really a straight-up review so much as I was just talking about the main problem with Fantastic Four. That's what the video is called. And I was just saying, there's no middle to the movie. There's no real second act, and because of that, there's no character development that would be needed in the second act for me to care about the characters in the third act of the movie by the end of the movie. Same thing in this movie. And while in Fantastic Four, I at least liked the acting. I didn't not like the acting in this movie, but it wasn't as good as Fantastic Four, so I actually cared about the characters even less. And just, yeah, they just got really cliche with the last 10 minutes, and it's not scary, it's not done well, it's not executed well, it's not executed or shot or just made as well as the first 30 minutes of the movie. The first 30 minutes are creepy, sets up a great atmosphere, it's entertaining, it's funny, there's decent banter, it's interesting. You're like, oh man, this is pretty interesting, and it's believable, of course, and it just dragged me in, and I was just thinking, like, this might actually turn out to be a pretty fun watch. I'm enjoying this movie, and I just enjoyed, like, how the movie started for the first 30 minutes. I don't know how else to put it other than how I've already described, but yeah, just the last 10 minutes sucked. and honestly, the grade that I would have to give it would be a C. I would rate it lower, but I mean, it is just a short film, and also, you know, I mean, $0 budget, so I can't rate it much lower than that, but, you know, I'd say maybe check it out since it's only 42 minutes long, but anyway, guys, if you like this video, please rate it. Oh, yeah, the gore rating. Little blood. I mean, there's 2 and almost no gore in this movie. Anyway, guys, if you like this video, please rate and comment and subscribe, and if you want to, you can also share. Get out of my face.